Rise of the Eco Guards. Stand on guard with me. Part 3, Section A. Building Determinations. As we were building upon our past limited eco-based efforts and making a further transition into a greater eco-based organizational structure. After the Eco Guard's main founder was injured, while in my other telecommunications career in early March 2008, and still had not properly healed or properly returned to work since the initial workplace injury, due to great difficulties, recurrences, and a further WorkSafe NB rehabilitation injury in early 2010. After being forced to attempt a second work hardening and rehab program in that year that caused greater physical issues, that would eventually be noted years later as permanent physical disabilities. Actually 1 year to the date of a voluntary first work hardening and rehab program in early 2009, prior to the WorkSafe NB appeals process of that same year, which overturned their initial denial of the workplace injury in early 2009. But I would still persist in pushing all these Eco Guards, environmentally based efforts during those 2 rehabilitation programs. In very early 2009, the last 3 living founders and other board members of the Eco Guards organizations agreed that a better, larger facility would be required. If we were to continue with all our efforts in the repurposing and reclamations of personal computers, primarily for our computer learning systems, that we had been limitedly giving away to less fortunate children for the last 16 years, actually dating back to 1993, but also increasing our efforts over those last 10 years, due to the need and availability of supplies. We were also supplying those CLS units to a great many mid-income families for a modest fee in order to help bridge the digital divide, but to also fund all our efforts. And we also needed this space in order to maintain and increase our capabilities and our volunteer base. And since we did not have any great amounts of funds to complete this task, let alone all our other efforts, and the fact that we are not a registered charity, the main founder, namely myself, also known by the 3 titles gained over those many years as Eco Prime, Captain Patriot, and finally Captain Canada, from all those children that were present during all those public Canada Day celebrations, had started calling me that awesome title, as they had attained family pictures with their parents during those times, as well as all the other public events that I would attend. Well, at least mostly the latter title, where I would take on the duty of eco-based activisms and promotionals for all our efforts. I then took it upon myself to design and determine the best possible manner of completing that task. The other reason that we agreed that a better facility would be required and took on this great endeavor was because we were going to increase the amount of public and commercial e-waste that we would deal with and the necessary public awareness of such. And that was because by this time, the ever-increasing amounts of e-waste were being generated by our society, and someone needed to deal with it, instead of placing all of it in our 18-year-old landfills, which just so happened to be getting really full and even beyond capacity by that time. For the New Brunswick government had still not made any decision as to whether or not they would do like all other provinces and bring in an eco-stewardship organization or a proper program to properly deal with all that e-waste. Even though we were the lead in New Brunswick for all those efforts during all those prior years. Long story to short, it would still take them another 6 years from that time before anything would be done. And that was not for a lack of attempting to have them assist us in doing our works, which they flat out refused to do several times over those many years. So I made the only determination I could as it related to how we would accomplish that task, and we began to accumulate vast amounts of discarded lumber and building supplies during our tri-community spring and fall large garbage collection periods, which were still transpiring during that time. Eventually, we approached the city of Moncton in order to acquire the permit for building a large building on the back property of the main founder's home. After all, we were not funded by anyone, save our private members and those limited funds from those CLS units. But we had attained our city's business class permits in order to continue our efforts upon our main founder's property. Eventually, but primarily in 2010, the city of Moncton refused to allow this on that separate back property and eventually indicated that we could build as many shed-type units as we wanted, but would not allow one large, very well-built structure, unless we had both property identifications placed together, or PIDs as they are known, which would have cost approximately $15,000 back then. Regardless, we would still need to pay for those building, or should I say, development permits. So in mid-2011, after accumulating most of those building supplies that we were still acquiring, including those used lumbers donated by our local Home Depot, and upon the cleaning of the nails from the lumber accumulated in the garbage collections, we started to build these shed-like units on the back property adjacent to the main home structure, which also housed our primary offices. What you're about to witness are the Eco Guard's video logs during that time frame, primarily those at the end of certain days with the evolutions that transpired. Hopefully, you'll learn something interesting, but also learn that with determination, anyone can accomplish their desired goals. But also learn that your neighbors should never disrespect your property by placing great sums of snow on the primary structure where you house all the C, L, S units, and compromising that full structural integrity prior to the newer buildings being placed there. Anyways, hopefully you'll enjoy as you witness the evolutions of this Eco Guards organization's e-waste program that served much of New Brunswick for all those years, which we kept fully alive until 2015 and later minimized greatly, when the provincial government finally acted in bringing an eco-based stewardship program into New Brunswick. And if you would, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
Well, here are the supplies for EcoGuard's replacement sheds for that ugly garage, or ugly shed. Those were all picked up during spring cleanup, and there's more than enough supplies here to start building several sheds, which is what we're going to need. As you can see, and there's supplies over towards the garage as well. And as well as all those supplies, we've got all this siding, which there's enough siding there. That came off one house, came out of one place on spring cleanup. Mind you, that wasn't done this spring, that was done last spring, but saved and stored since then. But there's enough there to do all the sheds we want on our property. And obviously the pile of dirt that needs to be moved. And then we have the area, as we're walking over to it, more supplies, obviously. And then we have the area where the first shed is going. It's going to be an 8x12, and that's going to be the first one, balanced, 3-centered across with this garage, or this building taken down, and then another 8-footer over this way, and another 8-footer over on the other side. And this is just a little video to show what we do with scrap materials. And we're going to show this stuff off pretty sharp. It's going to be nice. And this is just a documented video to show, like I said, the supplies. It's August 12th, 2011. We've gone through most of the wood, and we've gotten more wood to use for making sheds. And we've taken down part of the garage, and now we're in the process of actually taking down the other side of the old garage. And there's the first shed made with complete recycled material. Interesting. The siding's not on it yet, but it's in good shape, considering. And there's the platform for the other shed. Siding's over there. There's all the scrap wood we're using, and it's coming together quite nice. Now I'm going to open this door, and talking about the shed, there's the one that's coming down, the one that's falling apart. Here's the new shed inside. As you can see, it's all done with reclaimed lumber, but it's structurally sound. It is very, very strong. The roof, everything. And it is extreme venting. It's extremely strong considering what we've used. And the other lumber, and like I say, the second deck, which will be starting the second shed in the next day or two. And I'm going to complete all the sheds out of recycled material before we put the siding on. There's no reason to take and put siding on it anytime soon. And that's our video log for August 12th, 2011. This is a video log for August 25th, 2011 for the EcoGuard sheds. And there's the remaining lumber after completing the second shed. And this lumber needs to obviously be cleaned and sorted again. And over here we have the second shed, which has been completed out of reclaimed lumber. And we'll walk over to the face door and take a look inside. And there is the inside of the shed. We've created shelf units because this is going to be the shed where we store the monitors. As you can see, there's shelf space and a squeaky door, but that's what you get when you use reclaimed lumber. And the old building outside, which will be coming down. As you can see, one of the wings of the building, the stabilizing wings, has been completely dismantled, and that old building will be coming down within the next couple of days, God willing. And as you can see, we have now all the junk that we have to clean up, and the old lumber and the siding. We're getting some more siding today, same color, kind of a light beige, and there are the two buildings thus far. We still have 3 more large buildings to set up, and then obviously the cleanup. And the other side of the shed has been dismantled as well, the old shed. And as you can see when looking down the wall, how crooked the building is and how in rough shape it truly is. Now this will all be dismantled, and again 3 more sheds placed where in this corner of the property. And that's our video log for August 25th, 2011. EcoGuards. It's September 10th, 2011, and this is the EcoGuard log for facility upgrade. Well, there are the first 2 sheds we made out of recycled material. And of course, now you can see that the garage, or the old garage, or the old building, is finally torn down, and we're starting the platform for the next shed. And as you can see, there's a ton of lumber here from the old building. A lot of this is still good, not rotten, still in good shape, and obviously the siding and so on. And we will be starting the next shed in the next day or 2. And God willing, all of this scrap wood will be taken care of by the next 2 sheds that we have to build over in this corner. And that's the EcoGuard log for facility upgrade for September 10th, 2011. It is September 12th, bright and early in the early morn. This is EcoGuard log for September 12th, and we've started the construction of the 3rd shed. As you can see over here, we've got the frame and the deck. The framing is up, and we've got the back wall covered, all with reclaimed lumber. And it's not too bad, but again, it is all reclaimed lumber. And obviously we have the other 2 sheds over here. This is highly labor intensive, taking all the fasteners, the nails and the screws out of this old lumber to make our 3rd shed. Now once this shed is completed and the roof is on, we're going to be placing another one, 8 by 8 over in this corner. And then once that one is completed, and we'll be placing another one right in this zone, another one that is much larger, more for the dismantling of PC parts. As you can see, the lumber pile is slowly going down, and we've also got all that excess trees there that we had to trim a whack of siding off in the distance and another pile on the other side over here. This lumber over here, the 2x6 lumber, there's a pile of it there that was given to us by Home Depot. And we're going to be using that for the 5th shed, which, like I said, will be going in between these two. And from Google Earth, once these sheds are all completed, if you're facing south and you're looking down at an image of the sheds, it's going to represent the letter E, which will be quite sharp considering it's EcoGuards. And there's all the lumber that came from our next door neighbor over there, Martin. He's gutting his basement for some reason, and he's putting out a bunch of 2x4s, and 2x4 and 1x5, which is, to me, still good lumber. That is our log for September 12th, 2011, for the EcoGuard facility upgrade. It's September 19th, 2011. This is the EcoGuard core log for the facility upgrade. There are the 2 first sheds that we've made out of recycled lumber. And over here we have completed the 3rd shed, except for the roofing and the door, and we're beginning the 4th shed. The deck and the 2 walls are up, and God willing, today we'll be putting up the last 2 walls on the 4th shed. And obviously we're using up the lumber that we had accumulated. And then obviously we're going to be putting another shed in between these two, facing the peak towards this video camera. And that is the EcoGuard log for September 19th, 2011. It's September 26th, 2011, and this is the EcoGuard log for facility upgrade. And there are the first 2 sheds that we completed. And they're not quite finished because of the siding, but that's fine, or the eaves. And there is the place where we're going to be putting the largest shed that we're building out of all these units. And we've completed the 3rd shed, except for the siding and the door. The 4th shed is actually on its way to being completed. It's just a matter of doing a little bit of boards on the roof and finishing the eaves. And it will be done. And obviously, the remainder of the wood from the garage and the items that we've picked up. Plus we also have all the siding that was donated and picked up. There's enough siding here to do all 5 sheds, and then obviously a little bit more lumber needs to be cleaned and sorted. And very soon all of these units will be completed. That is our EcoGuard core log for September 26, 2011. It's September 27th, 2011. This is the EcoGuard core log for the facility upgrade. As you can see in the distance, we have 2 sheds just about completed. We're just waiting to complete all the sheds before we do the siding. There is the deck for the largest shed that we're building at 12 by 14. And as you can see, half of the deck is covered on the top with older barn boards, which are fine, recycled from the previous garage that was taken down, and the 2x6 frame, which is all in extremely good shape. The wood was donated by Home Depot, there's the remainder of the wood there. And obviously we have the siding off in the distance. There's enough siding there to complete all of these sheds on the outside and make them quite nice. Now, we've completed those 2, and like I say, we're working on the 5th one there. There are the other 2 that are just about completed. We just need to get the roofing put on them, the doors, the venting, and continue on with the screening. And as you can see, the pile of wood is gone down dramatically, and there'll be enough wood in this to complete the majority of this shed over here. And that's our log for September 27th, 2011. It's September 30th, 2011. This is EcoGuard core log for the facility upgrade. And as we can see from the distance here, we've got the main shed with 2 walls up. The deck is done. We've completed the roof and the eaves on the small shed over there. We still have the roof to do on that central shed, and obviously the walls need to be completed and the roof's added onto this one. The supplies are definitely going down. As you can see, materials are dwindling, which is a good thing. Mind you, we still have all this lumber that we have to deal with, and all these boards. Going to be what we're going to use to frame the wall, and the blue insulation over there, insulating the floor before we put the plywood on. And that's our log, EcoGuard core log for September 30th, 2011. It's been highly labor intensive building these sheds. From everything from taking down the old building that was here to building all these units out of reclaimed lumber. Highly labor intensive, taking out the fasteners, the nails, and we obviously have the siding off in the distance, and we're really looking forward to completing this. This has to be completed by October 17th. Everything has to be completed by October 17th, and we're going to continue doing the logs for the EcoGuard core, and we're going to also be getting rid of all the trash, sending the little bits of lumber, as you can see, little bits of lumber in the can over there, the excess rot and so on that's been cut off. We'll be getting all that ready to go to the dump, and the lumber that's here, a lot of this is going to help complete that last shed over here, which is going to be quite interesting. The sheds that are over here, they're structurally in good shape, and they are, considering the lumber we're using, very strong, very, very strong. But we still have the roof to do on this shed, and also placing the door in here and the frame and so on before we do the siding. We did complete the roof on this one. It's completed, as in we've got the eaves done and the roofing is on. Mind you, the back roofing, we've used the blue shingle because we didn't have enough to finish doing all of the roof. But we've got the roof completed on that, and we need to get a door. And if everything goes well, we'll have a door within the next couple of days, a frame door that we can put there. But it's been highly, highly labor intensive doing this job, and I'm really looking forward to completing it. This is the EcoGuard core log for October 6, 2011. This is the first sunny day we've had in 6 days. It's been constantly cold and rainy for the last 6 days. However, we didn't stop doing our project. As you can see, we started doing the siding, which was something that I decided to begin doing during this rainy season that we had, or rainy time, should I say. And we did complete the back wall on that before the rain began. And like I said, we started doing the siding. These 2 sheds over here, everything siding is completed except for the face walls where the doors are at. And we need to finish the roof on that one. I will take a walk around to show what the siding kind of looks like. And we did have the saw set up inside this shed so that we wouldn't have water dripping on it, electrocute ourselves while we were doing this. It's been a long process, a long cleanup session putting this siding on. But I tell you, it's really come along quite well, and it has. And as you can see down the sides, all the siding is complete on these. And obviously with the siding, it's extremely, extremely nice compared to what it was prior to this. And obviously the siding on this side of the building as well. We've completed quite a bit of siding. I'm quite impressed. In fact, I was looking and I was saying, another couple days and we should have all the siding on all these buildings. if everything goes well. But honestly, as you can see, the puddles and footprints and everything, 6 days of constant rain. It's been intense, a little too intense. And that shed looks well. The eave still has to be completed and the door and the frame painted, but that's what the sheds are basically going to look like when they're completed. And that's our EcoGuard log for October 6th, 2011. This is the EcoGuard core log for October 10th, 2011. And as you can see over here, we've got the siding completed on the sheds. Siding still has to be scrubbed down. It's a little bit dirty, obviously, because it's been sitting on the ground for quite a while. But that side there, that far side, has been scrubbed down, and that's what it's going to look like when it's complete. It's all going to be scrubbed down. It's going to look a whole lot better. And obviously, we've got to continue working on that shed and finish up the siding on that last shed over in the corner. That small shed is completed and been scrubbed down. And today is going to be a good Thanksgiving Day. It's going to be a cleanup day. We're going to clean up all the siding that's kicking around over here and all the excess wood that's booting around. All has to be sorted and cleaned. And that's the EcoGuard core log for October 10th, 2011. It's October 19th, 2011, and this is the EcoGuard core log for the facility upgrade. And as you can see, this shed is now boxed in. We still have the roof to complete, and the siding on both sides needs to be complete. We've completed the siding on the face, and we've cleaned up the siding on these sheds over here. Now it's also fall cleanup in Dieppe this week, and we've been going out and picking up supplies in order to complete that roof. And we've picked up an awful lot of lumber, all preserved 1x5 and decking, and obviously some plywood as well. But the preserved 1x5 is the stuff we're going to be using for the roof. We've also picked up a load of shingles from multiple houses that were just getting rid of shingles. 8-tab and 3-tab shingles. And believe there's enough there to complete that large shed over there. And this is all new shingle, never been used, but it all came out of different places, all the same colors. I've also been picking up some 2x4, which is on the other side of that stand. And we've been using the siding up and getting the facility completed. We've also had an opportunity to clean up most of the yard. The truck is now here instead of a load of all that old lumber. And that's our facility upgrade log for EcoGuard core for October 19th, 2011. This is the EcoGuard log for October 31st, 2011. And yesterday we had snow. Snow for the first time this year. And we did complete the roof on that main shed. And we have one more roof to complete. And we're going to be changing all the doors, minus the main shed door. We need some light in there, over to steel doors similar to this one. Instead of glass doors, we were fortunate enough to pick up enough steel doors like this from fall cleanup in Dieppe and Rouvry. And we still have one wall remaining on 2 sheds. That furthest wall over still needs to be completed, and obviously the wall on this side here. We were fortunate to pick up vinyl flooring, 2 rolls of vinyl flooring in fall cleanup in Dieppe. Brand new rolls of vinyl flooring, enough to do every one of these sheds. And obviously we have to clean up this mess before we get any more snow. The snow we received yesterday was a preamble or a warning that it's time to clean up. And we've got to do a lot of major cleanup. We're going to be saving a lot of this lumber for shelves inside these sheds, and the vinyl siding that's remaining after the job is done will be sorted and sent off to Habitat for Humanity to be reused by someone else. And that's the EcoGuard log for October 31st, 2011. This is the EcoGuard EcoGuard core log for November 11th. As you can see, all the sheds are completed. The roofs are completed on them. We still have the eaves to install soffit on, like we've done over here. Right now, since it's such a rainy day, we've also cleaned up all the siding. We do have the wood to clean up and store. And since it's a rainy day, we've decided to do some work inside the main shed. And as you can see, the walls are all done with recycled material, including the ceiling and the joists and so on. And we've taken the roll of tar paper off in the distance there, something that somebody threw out during fall cleanup. We're laying it down on the floor using the high density foam that we picked up as well. And then we're covering it with 3/4 inch plywood, which is going to make this floor extremely strong and also insulated. We will be doing the walls, insulating the walls, putting the wiring in and so on. And then we're going to be using floating floor, click flooring, to cover the walls. And that will actually prevent any mold or mildew from forming on the walls, because you don't want to put gypsum in anything that's not heated. And that's the EcoGuard core log for November 11th, 2011. It's November 30th, 2011, and this is the EcoGuard core log for our facility upgrade. And there are the sheds. They're all completed except for the soffit that needs to be completed around the edge. And obviously the backyard has been cleaned up. We still have some siding that we have to use up and use it for the soffit. Get rid of a couple other things, but the yard generally is tidied up. And there's our next load of scrap computer gear. It's all just empty cases that need to go to the junkyard. We're going to get that out this afternoon. And the sheds are turned out pretty nice. There's plenty of room to store all kinds of electronics and computers that we need to do an EcoGuard. We still have some gravel that we need to lay down, as well as some under padding so grass doesn't grow up through it. And we've disposed of, like I say, all the scrap wood that was here, and the remainder will go to the remaining siding will go to Habitat for Humanity. We also have a load of scrap metal cases that need to go to the junkyard today, and we're going to be taking those, making a few bucks on it to help out the cause. And that is the EcoGuard core log for November 30th, 2011.
At dawn with stars in our eyes, guardians of green under cosmic skies. In the silence of space, our duty calls, protecting what grows within nature's walls. Machines hum soft in the dark void's grip. Our oath to protect never lets us slip. Through nebula bright and empty dreams, we navigate the vast unseen. Echo gods, that's who we are, defenders of earth from afar. We watch the oceans, the forests, the air. We reshape the world with cosmic flair. In shadows and light, we find our way. Battling threats on endless display. Invisible to the naked eye, we keep the balance under starlit sky. Planets can shake under our mighty hands, but we hold steady like towering sands. Unseen forces churn deep in the night, yet we stand firm, ready for the fight. Echo gods, that's who we are, defenders of Earth from afar. We watch the oceans, the forests, the air. We reshape